So now we'll move on to the square feature in the profile toolbar. Okay, so first of all we'll see the sub commands. It shows us that we can draw a rectangle, an oriented rectangle, a parallelogram, an elongated hole, a cylindrical elongated hole, a keyhole profile, a hexagon, a centered rectangle, and a centered parallelogram. We'll draw each one of them. So I'll click on this particular area. As I have clicked it, you can see it has been converted into a toolbar. Now we can select it and move it as the way which we want. Okay, so I have created a toolbar of sub commands present in the square profile. So first of all we'll select this rectangle. Now you can see I've got two entities, that is horizontal and vertical. It shows us the points at which our cursor is moving. So first of all I'll select a point. So basically I'll select 0, 0 as my origin, and I'll start drawing from here. I'll click over here. Now it is showing me the width and the height. I'll select, I want the width to be 100 and the height to be 200. I have typed in the width and the height. I'll click enter. Now you can see the box has been created with 100 as its width and 200 as its height. Okay, and when I click out, you can see the profile which I had drawn was previously white colored. Now it has turned into a color which is green. What is the reason? As you can see, if I click on this and I try to move it, the geometry doesn't move. Means the geometry is constrained, and it is constrained means now I cannot move the geometry, and it is well defined and it does not have any degree of freedom. Okay, so the main aim of creating our 2D drawing is to do the drawing, and we have to ultimately convert it into a fully defined sketch. So we don't have any anonymity between in our sketch. Means if I by mistakenly click on this and I just move it, and the figure would deform, and it may result into deterioration in our geometry. Okay, so whenever we draw our sketch, we want at the end that it must get fully green in color, or it must get fully constrained. Okay, so constraints would come later. So for right now we'll try on creating only geometries, and we'll try constraining later on. So okay, so I've drawn the square using one sub command. I'll select it and click and I'll select delete. Okay, now moving on to the next command, oriented triangle. I have selected the oriented triangle. It is asking me the width and the angle at which it will orient. Okay, so I'll give it the width as 100, and the angle would be 45 degree. I want it to be inclined at 45 degree. I have given enter, and both of these two entities is locked. So now I'll select the point. Now you can see my width is already fixed, and my inclination is also fixed. Now I have to select is what I have to do is height. So I can choose the height from here. I can give it 200 as my height, and when I click enter, again my geometry is created with specific height, width and inclination, and the geometry is green, means it is fully constrained, and my geometry won't move when I click by mistakenly, and it will not deteriorate. Okay, so my task is completed of creating an oriented rectangle. Now so now we'll draw the parallelogram. Okay, I'll select the parallelogram. Now I have to mention the angle at which the inclined side would be at. So I'll select 45 degree, and I'll select the width of the side which is inclined at 45 degree. So I'll select it as 25 and click enter. Okay, so now as you can see, a side of 25 degree at 45 degree angle has been created. Now I have to select the endpoint. I can directly select the endpoint by specifying it over here H and V, or I can directly click it over here, or I can mention the height. I can mention the height by specifying it. The height should be at 40 mm, and I'll click enter. Now as you can see, my parallelogram is moving. I have specified the height, but I haven't specified the angle. I'll specify the angle to be again 45. I'll click enter. Now as you can see, my endpoints is specified at 90 degree angle. This line is at 45 degree angle, this line is also at 45 degree angle, and the distance between the two parallel planes, this parallel plane and this parallel plane, is 40 degree. I can, even if I want to change it, I can simply click on the dimension which is provided. Sorry, I can click now I can change the height from here also. I want the height to be 80. Now as you can see, as I have increased the height distance between the two parallel inclined lines, you can see the length of the parallelogram has increased. Okay, so these are the ways, different ways in which you can modify your drawing. So now if you want your this angle to be 30 degree, you can just click on the dimensions and you can click enter, and the parallelogram would deviate it at 30 degree. Okay, so and your geometry would change as per your dimensions or the parameters which you have specified in the while starting the drawing or while at the end of the drawing. So now we'll move on to the next command, which is the elongated hole. I'll select the elongated hole. Now here the length has been given. I'll specify 100. This is the length between the two centers of the semicircles. I'll select the first point. Now you can see I'm getting a line of constant radius which is 100 mm. I'll select the end point as to be vertical. Now it has shown me 100. Now I want to draw the hole, but how am I going to select the hole? So for that purpose, here the radius has been mentioned of the semicircles. I can select the radius and I'll give it the radius of 50, and I'll click or I'll press enter. Okay, so now as you can see, an elongated hole has been created of length 100 from center, between the centers of the two circles, and you can see the radius of the two circles would be 50 mm. Okay, similarly we can draw the cylindrical elongated hole, in which first of all we have to select the hole. We'll mention the radius which I want to be 100 should be the radius, and I'll click enter. Okay, I'll select the center point. Now my primary target would be to choose the arc, draw the arc from the first endpoint to the second endpoint. I'll select the arc to be from 0 to 90 degree, and I'll press enter. So now you can see my cylindrical elongated hole has been created from arc 0 degree to 90 degree at radius 100. Now what is the thing which I have to do now is to select the radius of this semicircle, which I can select it from here, and I'll give it the value as 25 mm, and I'll press enter. So now you can see my drawing has been created, in which I can see an arc has been created of length 100 mm, of radius 100 mm, consisting of two semicircles of radius 25 and which is in an arc from 0 to 90 degree. Okay, so this is my cylindrical elongated hole. Now I have got another command which is keyhole profile. I'll select the keyhole, select the base point, or okay, now it is asking me the hole length. I'll give it as 100 and press enter. So now I've got the length. I'll click the next point. So now I've drawn it. Now it is asking me two things, which is the dimension of the next point. So I'll click on to the next dimension and my keyhole is created. Okay, so now it is asking me the second endpoint, and this is my second endpoint. Now you can see my keyhole is created with 100 as the distance between the two centers of the circle or the arc. Okay, and this is R30 is the radius of this arc, and the radius of this circle is 76.158, which has been calculated as per our selections. Okay, so in this way we can draw a keyhole. Similarly, we can draw the next three commands, in which we will select the first point, which is the center point, and now we can specify the distance at which I'll select the distance to be 100. Means a pentagon would be created at a distance of 100. Now I can move it in a particular fashion. I can incline it at a particular degree, or I can just click it and I'll get my hexagon. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next feature, which is sub feature, I can say rather sub feature, which is a square, a center rectangle, in which when we select first we have to select the center point of this rectangle. I have selected the center point of the rectangle. Now I have to specify the height. I'll specify the height of the rectangle to be 100 mm and the width to be 50 mm. So when I click it, you can see it has created a rectangle of width 50 and height 100. Now you can see this rectangle is symmetric along horizontal axis as well as vertical axis. Now I cannot move it because it has turned it to green and it is fully constrained. Okay, for this we'll require a line. Okay, for this we'll require a line. For now I'll select the parallelogram. Okay, I'll select this line and this line as my feature. So now as you can see, my one line would be parallel to this line, to the horizontal axis, and my next line would be parallel to this vertical line. So now I can specify the height and the width. I want the height to be 80 and the width to be again 50, and I'll press enter. Now you can see my parallelogram has been created. I can click on it and you can see all the features has been provided. Thank you very much.